Wednesday night, and we're live from Oakdale, Washington, in the Educated Touch studio. Welcome to Ethics Outside the Box, with your host, Nathan Nordstrom. Special guests include
Miss Cindy Farrar.
And you. Here he is, Nathan Nordstrom.
Miss Cindy Farrar just went larger than life, and we are so glad to have her here. Hi, everyone. Haven't seen you for about a week. But one of the things I wanted to say is that we are finally at the end of the Code of Ethics. Woohoo! We have done 18 weeks today, and we are really starting to get our feet wet in this and figure out exactly what it means to be a massage therapist and how to professionally engage in massage therapy to the most successful aspect that we possibly can. I wanted to introduce Miss Cindy Farrar. Now, Cindy and I have gone back for several years. Cindy has been one of those people that whenever I meet her, I wonder why she hasn't just kind of become an angel in heaven. She's outstanding and always has that instinctual ability to ask you how you're doing at the right point. Because then you start engaging and start saying, well, it's like, hold on, how am I doing? I'm doing well. I guess I'm doing great. Or, gosh, this is just a great day. Thank you so much for being here. And so, Cindy, thank you so much for your service to the profession and to yourself and to all those who really are around you, because we really appreciate your heartfelt spirit and kind of connection that you have. What's going on in your life? How are you doing?
Life is awesome. Life is really good. You keep blinking on me here. It's really funny. It's like you just see a head floating in the sea in a moment.
Yeah, the green screen is taking my teal shirt and making it think it's green once in a while.
Yes.
So yeah, that does happen because I'm not really on the Oregon coast.
Okay. We can hope.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
life is very good. Staying busy with my business, with my wellness center that we'll be celebrating 20 years. And
wow.
Yeah. And my life coaching has kicked off really wonderfully, and I've just submitted 4 classes for approval with NCB, and I'll be hitting the continuing ed circuit, so to speak. So,
wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And have you hit the continuing education circuit before? Have you taught anything other than local market type stuff?
Yes. I have the background with Atlanta School of Massage, which is where I graduated from. I was on staff there, assistant director of education for a while, on program advisory committee still. And then I've done little things here and there. Well, I say little things. 2015 convention presented for Teacher Day.
Yeah, just little stuff.
Yeah, little stuff. So it felt time to hit the market at large, if you will, and get some of my perspectives out there to more folks.
There are so many points in your profession that when they're such a big thing, but as soon as they pass, they're kind of like, oh yeah, I did that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you don't remember the depth of amount of work that you put into it, and it just kind of feels like it was a natural piece of you. So there have been several things that I've done that I've gone, oh yeah, I did that. That is in the past tense, but that was a brutal thing at that point, and it is just so nice to have that in hindsight. So.
Well, and that's why they're called milestones.
Yeah. Yes.
So it feels like you run a mile and you carried a stone.
Yes. Or a boulder, or a 2-ton block, or whatever else you may have put in your backpack.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So as I said, today we've come to the end of the Code of Ethics, which I really kind of wanted to, before we got into what the last Code of Ethics is, really kind of go through a concept of, we've gone over some of those major pieces of what a Code of Ethics is and some of those major chunks for massage therapy that are important in the Code of Ethics. And one of those things that I just wanted to reattach to is that you're needing to make sure, as a national certified massage therapist, that, or board certified, excuse me, that your best interest is the client.
Yes.
And then the second piece is that you're striving to keep all communication to the utmost professionalism for the purpose of that session and for the purpose of that client. There are so many ways that that can go wrong, and so many ways that that can be slightly skewed, that it's important that we reconnect with that and say, that's really, if we can connect with those two pieces, if we can connect with communication and the purpose of the session, a lot of the other stuff's going to go by the wayside. The definitions, and really what we're going to be starting with next week is the standards of practice, which to me is, if you take the code of ethics and break it down to very specific action-based pieces, that's a standard of practice. That's the standards that you have to set so that you can really go into making sure that you're living an ethical life, that you're living an ethical practice. So it's so important that when you go to work, when you go into your office as a massage therapist, that you go in putting yourself aside and putting the purpose together. Cindy, any ideas or any situations where you can connect where either someone hasn't done that or something, the types of things that happen when you don't put yourself aside?
Yeah, I think that where it shows up most prevalently is just life, where life happens to us, on our way into the office, walking through the door when we're dropping our keys into the office, or, as we get in and the phone's ringing and the, sheets aren't on the table and all of that is happening. And, oh yeah, I've got a client that's going to appear, momentarily, and I'm not prepared. And so how is it that I switch that mindset of being completely frenzied and perhaps frustrated or, and leave that at least momentarily so that you're present and ready to receive your client in the best possible manner, so that that client is not walking into that state of chaos that, we sometimes find, despite our best efforts not to.
Well, it's interesting when we have chaos and we bring it into the room, the client is going to have chaos and they're going to bring it into the room. And so when it's chaos meets chaos means ultimate destruction forces that come together, because that's when everything goes wrong. Instead of something just not quite being right and being uncomfortable, if you're bringing stuff in and they've already got stuff, that's where offense really starts. That's where questioning of other people's motives really start. That's where a lot of these internal battles start happening. And so I love that you brought up, in my mind, 3 different periods of time. So before you get into the office, that home stuff, that personal stuff. Once you get into the office, before your client gets there, which is all the business stuff, and then once the client walks through the door, that is their stuff. That is a client walks through the door, they shouldn't feel the stress that you have as a business owner.
Absolutely.
And obviously they shouldn't feel the stress of your marital status, your situations, your kids, that kind of stuff. That's for most massage therapists, they're like, oh yeah, that's completely separate. I can separate that. But then they come in and then they kind of have a frustrating day with trying to do the billing, trying to write checks, trying to do all this stuff. And then a client comes in and they go, oh, well, I'm not going to get this done today. And then they go into the session and they're already in that aggravated state.
Yes.
And then trying to create a structured treatment plan for that client really devolves so that they're not able to get the best possible session.
Right. and even if I may, even besides being unable to come up with a structured treatment plan, you're just not present. You're not able to create that safe place. The client feels that they're now a distraction from the business, and we forget the purpose that we're there as the client. And the business is separate. So, I learned a long time ago, one of my teachers shared with me that two things that are needed for healing to take place is safety and presence. And, if we're not there in our mind, our bodies can be there, but if we're not there in our minds and our hearts, then nothing else is going to take place despite our best efforts.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Safety and presence are two really huge aspects that I don't think get enough credit where credit is due. I'm very happy to see that being connected is a piece that you have to have, because if you're not there, you can't make sure that everything is safe. You can't make sure that your connection is right. So let's go on over to the National Certification Board's website, Cindy. So this is ncbtmb.org. You're going to see faces flip through on that top right-hand corner of wonderful people who agree and support the NCB. You're going to see board certified therapeutic massage and body workers, the little logo here. But most of the time when I bring you to this page each week, I scroll right on down to the bottom and ignore everything up top. That's not going to be what we're going to do today. I am still going to start at the bottom, but we're going to get back up to the top. So some of those important pieces are when we go into the Code of Ethics on the About section and the Standard of Practice. This is where we're going to be doing that transition, but let's start with the Code of Ethics here. Flipping to the Code of Ethics, I have to bring us right down to number 18, XVIII, for those who don't speak Roman numeral. And we're going to go through what number 18 is and why I need to have us go back to all the rest of that page. So number 18 is follow the National Certification Board of Therapeutic Massage and Body Workers Standards of Practice, this Code of Ethics, and all policies, procedures, guidelines, regulations, codes, and requirements promulgated by the National Certification Board of Therapeutic Massage and Body Workers. Okay, so first of all, that's, in my mind, that's saying do everything right.
Yeah.
Pretty simple, pretty easy. However, they had to break it down so that you could know, wait a second, where do we know what we're supposed to be doing and how do we need to make sure to meet those? Well, we're going through the Code of Ethics right now. We're going to go through the Standards of Practice. So that's going to take out those first two right off the top. Being able to hit those two buttons regularly, the Code of Ethics and Standard of Practice, and what that means to you for regularly is going to be different from other people. I have my wife's uncle has a photographic memory, and the guy bugs me. I love him. He's wonderful. But, when he sees something 5 years later, he can explain everything that happened at that exact moment. And I wish I had that gift, but I don't. So for him, really going over the Code of Ethics or Standard of Practice would simply be a process of, hold on, let me look back in my mind of that picture and really kind of make sure I feel comfortable with all those things. For me, it's more like, hey, you know what? At least once a year, sometimes twice a year, I should go over and start reading the Code of Ethics or the Standard of Practice. I should be looking at these new pieces and these things that are important to me as a massage therapist. And then other things that you have in your own personal life. If it's inspirational, motivational topics that you need to have to support you as an individual, as a being, those are things that you need to look at as your motivational pieces to really connect with. All right. So any one of those, Cindy, that sticks out to you?
you know, the thing that really stands out is the regulations. Um, because
Regulation.
that's not yes, it's not only the regulations for NCB, but that's our state regs, our local government regs, and the things that personally are thorns in my side, and continue to be so on a government relations issue, and yet we're to uphold those, follow them. And I believe it's in the AMTA's code of ethics that says, and if you don't agree with them, then work to change them. It doesn't say if you don't agree with them, ignore them or sidestep them, but work to change them. And that's been one of my personal things for as long as I've been practicing. So yeah.
Yeah. I love that, because one of my mantras when I'm talking about ethics, when I'm going and teaching an ethics class, regularly I'll get someone who will come up and say, well, what if the laws are wrong? I said, ethical disobedience is still a possibility. And a lot of times they look at me like, what are you talking about? And of course, I have to then go into civil disobedience 101 and kind of what it means to appropriately disagree with someone. And instantly, because it's been so ingrained in my childhood, it goes right back to Martin Luther King and the civil rights marches, where you're standing up for what is right, and when you're addressed by a person of authority, you say, okay, yes, I understand that you need to arrest me. Thank you for doing your job.
Right.
And being respectful to the individuals who have to combat you, but do it with a smile. As a child, I was taught, and I don't know why they taught me this. I love that they taught me this, but they taught me that if you're ever pulled over for speeding, you start by apologizing, and you end with a thank you. And it didn't make sense to me until I was pulled over for the first time for speeding, and the second, and the third. But as I have a relationship with a police officer, by apologizing and asking questions and being kind and supportive, I've noticed their responses to me are different.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's not about what they're going to do or not going to do. It's about how you connect with an individual,
right,
no matter what the situation is.
Absolutely.
You can have someone with the worst attitude ever, and you can change it in 5 minutes.
Yes.
Because they've kind of connected with you and realized, oh, yeah, you know what, this person isn't the mean, cruel, horrible, ugly, nasty person that I thought they were. Just simply by smiling, engaging, and asking how you can help.
Right. Yeah.
Those are some great tools in life, as well as in just civil disobedience or any other aspect. So yeah, I love that regulations can be wrong. They absolutely can. I've heard recently of a person in a state who is having some challenges with her continuing education regulations and is frantic.
Yeah.
And I understand that's an ugly place to be. Just recently I was in Raleigh, North Carolina for the North Carolina board's meeting, because they're having challenges with people with new rules that they're proposing for their state. Right. And that's another piece where I was so, I'm going to say this and then I'm going to have to rebut it. I was so proud of my profession, because there were about 200 people in this questioning room. And that's a good number of massage therapists to get together in one place to really state concern about potential rules. That's a beautiful thing. That's a really powerful aspect of making sure that massage therapists can connect with who they are and what laws are going to be there to structurally support massage therapy. Yeah. All right. So yes, not only live by the regulations, but work to change if something's wrong. Be conscious about that. So a lot of these kind of come up to me, all policies, procedures, and guidelines. And that kind of goes, oh, well, anyone ever know how to find the policies, procedures, and guidelines for the National Certification Board? Nope. Done. Okay, class is over. So the first thing that I want to go through is kind of the left-hand, you know what, I'm going to start on that front page again, just so that we know where everything's at. I always like going back to this front page because the very top is the different aspects in which they engage the massage therapy profession. So taking a board certification exam. To become board certified, this is where they kind of say, okay, we're going to need you to do that. Renew your board certification. To maintain your certification, that's that second piece. Take a specialty exam. This is their most recent connection with the profession, which is really exciting and showing that there's a lot of potential change in how the exam moves and grooves and really progresses. So that new aspect of specialty exams and specialty certificates is out there that's going to give us some understanding. Becoming an NCB assigned school. Many states require that their schools are NCB assigned. That number does a couple of things for state licensing boards. And a lot of state licensing boards really appreciate that NCB goes through and does vetting aspects to make sure that a school has an NCB number. Become an approved CE provider. Now this is that other aspect that I really love, and they have their own code of ethics for continuing education providers. So if you are a continuing education provider and you're NCB approved, I would suggest you go back to that code of ethics page. At the bottom of the code of that ethics page, it says, here's the code of ethics for our NCB CE providers. Read that through. Make sure that you're holding true to that as well. That will give you a lot of guidelines and a lot of safety. Okay. So on this left-hand column, so there's definitely things, especially certificates. You can do some of the certificates online, some of the exams online. Some have to still be in a testing center. NCB, TMB, attire and sheets and all sorts of fun stuff that they have provided there. See what others are saying about board certification, read their story, and new benefits from it for board certification, a free website. So other benefits that are there. But along with all these wonderful things, news, hey, David Otto's the spotlight. Sorry, just hi, David. Board certification is definitely, that's going to take you to how to become board certified. If you haven't become board certified and you've been in practice for a while, here's a couple of suggestions for you. Study first. I would actually say first go to this board certification page, and it will give you the outline of the subjects that you need to study and what the percentages of the test are, so that you can actually start studying the right material, because you have hands-on knowledge that goes for miles and miles, depending on how long you've been in practice. But to take the exam, you have to remember the words, and usually that's the first thing that falls out of my mind and most other people's mind, right, Cindy?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what you're thinking, but you don't know how to say what you're thinking. So definitely going through and reminding yourself there. It is not an easy test. I just recently went over some of the questions with the NCB so that they could make sure that the vetting process is correct. And there are questions that I really didn't know, but I've been out of school for a long time, and I have to say it was a challenge. It's a good thing to have. Specialty certificate. So this is where they go into those different certificates. Oncology is the most recently announced one. They also have sports and several other specific specialty certificates there. Online practice exams, yes, they help you out by giving you online practice exams so you know what those question model or style is. Resource center, so that gives you those resources to find out what you need. How to become an assigned school for students. Continuing education providers, this is the link that you would go if you want to become a continuing education provider. College partners, yes, they actually have college partners that allow your NCB board certification to be part of your college credits to get, I think it's a bachelor's degree. So definitely worth looking at. And then affiliate partners, that is some of the pieces there. I wanted to go to the renew your certificate. We'll get down further here in just a minute. But renew your certificate, because this is part of one of those things that I wanted to say, what are those rules that we're following, and one of the things that we're committing to is continuing education. Specifically, 24 hours of continuing education for the NCB approved providers. 3 hours must be in ethics. 3 hours must be in research. And then I love this little note, these notes here. No more than 4 hours will be accepted on self-care, not a requirement. So you don't have to have self-care, but if you are going to do self-care as a continuing education class, no more than 4 hours are considered part of that 24 hours. So if you took an 8-hour self-care class, which would be awesome, I think self-care is a very important piece, but only 4 of those hours would be counted towards your board certification, continuing education. And then the last one is NCB approved science, anatomy, physiology, kinesiology, and business courses that are also acceptable. So that is what it takes to maintain your board certification. To be board certified, it means that you're putting in an hour a month on average towards education, towards making yourself a better practitioner. Now, not always is that going to be a hands-on class. Obviously, 3 of those have to be ethics. And I can argue the point that ethics can be hands-on in a CE class. But I'm not going to do that here. It's up to you. And 3 hours must be in research. And research is very important there. Going to that next section, 100 hours must be hours of professional documented hands-on experience. What does that all mean? That means you have to be actually working in your profession. Just because you're an LMT or an LMP or a LBMT or whatever your initials are for licensure, or CMT for certification, and if you're not working in the profession, even if you go in and do the 24 hours of continuing education, that doesn't verify that your hands are actually getting the experience that they need to have. That's a huge piece of making yourself a better therapist. As I've said many times, the true aspect of being a massage therapist and getting education is actually touching humans. Because every client you touch is going to teach you something new about their condition, about their state as a human. Sandy, what's the last thing you learned from a massage client?
From a massage client, the last thing I learned was just today, actually. And it's a longtime client who has been dealing with a great deal of stress with an elderly parent. I learned that in the face of tremendous stress, the body is resilient. And it is especially resilient when the mind is in support of that. So this particular client, on the face of it, would have every reason not to get out of bed in the morning. And her body would like that very much. And yet it continues to serve us. Our body will serve us as much as we serve them. And for her, it's 90 minutes every week. And she has fibromyalgia, and and she keeps going, and she keeps going.
I love the concept of the power of will.
Mm-hmm.
Not William, but the power of your own personal will to actually get up and do stuff. Some people call it the power of spirit, or well-being, or personality. But this is that power that, when you dig down deep,
Mm-hmm.
stands up and makes you go, "Yep, I got something to learn. Let's go. Let's do this."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And someone else looks at you and goes, "Whoa, you're surviving with that challenge."
Right.
There's some beauty in being able to step out and step up from a lot of challenge. But yeah, thank you. That's huge. That is huge. So yeah, we learn from our clients every day. Every time you look at a client and connect with a client, every time you connect with another human, you have an experience. So make sure to engage with them. The next one is pass a criminal background check performed by the National Certification Board. Now, they don't just go out and start looking around and poking around in your database. They actually have you sign something that says that they can look at your background. And in that background check, they go through and perform enough of a background check to see if you have had a misdemeanor over your lifetime. This is an important piece. If we're looking at making sure that you as a massage therapist are holding true to a standard, one of the code of ethics is that you're following the laws of the land as well.
Yeah.
So being able to stand up and make sure that you are competent and confident that you are a quality massage therapist, this makes, I'm going to say it for me, this makes me comfortable in being able to push out to another massage therapist or to a client. If you want to get a good massage and you're looking for something specific, look for a board certified massage therapist. I have less question that way than say, just find someone who's licensed.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's a couple other pieces here that really means that someone has stepped up and stepped out of their comfort zone to become a good board certified massage therapist. Okay. Agree to uphold the NCB standard of practice and code of ethics. Hey, look, you notice that those are both linked. So if you ever wonder, you can click on those. And then this is one of the newer pieces to it, but agree to oppose human trafficking. Any idea how to do that, Cindy?
Education.
Absolutely, education. That's
Educating. I'm reluctant to say clients because my experience and concern is I don't want to alarm clients that there is an issue, so to speak, because you want them to be comfortable in the space that they're in. However, eyes and ears, being aware, but educating our government officials on really where the problems lie, and best courses of action to take to really make significant inroads in that. And it may not serve them as well in putting in regulations that are arduous for massage therapists as much as again educating the community. The more eyes and ears that are out there that can spot issues and communicate those potential issues to our officials is really what's going to make the difference.
A few months ago, I was with my son, and we were out shopping at the mall, and it was really interesting to me because we were traveling by a newly opened foot spa, and my son said, "Dad, would you ever work there?"
Mm-hmm.
And I looked in and I looked at the lack of business appropriate things. And it takes a professional to really be looking for those types of things. But I was looking for a business license. I was looking for massage licenses. I was looking for operations appropriate behavior. I was looking for dress code. I was looking for a manager on duty. I was looking for, and those little things that I was picking up, I said, buddy, no, I wouldn't. He says, well, why not? I said, because they're not licensed massage therapists that are working there. And he says, well, shouldn't they be shut down? I said, yes, they should. And that's what we're hoping will happen. But it can't happen unless you and I and everyone out there who's a massage therapist, when they see that, knows where to go. And if our state licensing boards had a huge number of statements, of concerns, of complaints that this is the place that I noticed this type of business, this is what's going on, this is what the signage out front is, even attaching pictures, because you know what, you can have your cell phone and go click, 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 and send it off. Whew. I thought I would died. Send it off right to the state licensing board so that can actually give. You know, I really did think about it when I was putting this shirt on. I'm like, I wonder if that's going to be too close to green.
Yeah, it's been fun.
All right. Okay, scoot back. There we go. All right. So yeah, it's our job to oppose human trafficking. Right. And that doesn't just mean our job to oppose human trafficking in massage therapy. That's oppose human trafficking, period. Right. So when I went to North Carolina, I had a preconceived notion in my head that human trafficking is done around the massage therapy industry, but not in the massage therapy industry. That it is a hijacking of our term of massage, Asian massage or exotic massage, or these other terms that aren't really massage. And it was interesting because the North Carolina Board of Massage Therapy, North Carolina Board of Therapeutic, Bodywork, and Massage, something of that nature. Their lawyer, he came out and he started talking about something very direct. He says, you know what? It is massage therapists in some cases that are doing this. And I went, huh? And he told a story about a massage therapist who had a practice, and he opened it up and then hired people, undocumented workers, to work underneath him under his license. Mm-hmm. And what he ended up doing is, once he built up enough of a clientele, he sold the business to them and moved to another place and left his massage therapy license on the wall. Wow. And when he went to the next place, he did this again. And he built a practice and brought in undocumented workers. And so all across the state, there were multiple different locations where this person had his name on the wall as the massage therapist who was working there. And these people were not him. Wow. And I went, okay, a bad apple is the thing that then causes rules to be made. I don't usually dry my hair when I'm in the bathtub. Mm-hmm. However, it takes one person doing it to make a documented requirement or statement that has to be out there for everyone to deal with. You know, I don't think hair drying companies really think of it as a real big problem mm-hmm. to put those documents on, but there's a cost to it.
Oh, yeah.
And we have to say, okay, what is going to be the cost to massage therapy, as we are the licensed massage therapists, especially when it comes to like facility licensure. I know several states are really looking at facility licensure concepts and expectations, which I don't have a problem with. I think that's a really important tool that puts a liability on the owners of a business as well. I think there's some vetted importance there. But if we're talking about meeting a code of ethics, sometimes that code of ethics isn't just the code of ethics for the massage therapist, but for the appropriate business owner, and the aspects of an NCB board certified massage therapist to say, am I meeting all the standards of business practice as well as personal practice? Is there any examples that you can think of where a massage therapist has gotten in trouble for not having business practices up to date that you can think of, Cindy?
Oh, absolutely. I had a therapist who worked with me that decided that it was in her best financial interest not to keep her insurance, her liability insurance up. And she went out and did a chair massage gig it was a department store doing a customer appreciation thing. And I got a phone call a couple of weeks afterwards, and thankfully she was an independent contractor, that said, we've got a complaint that she injured someone. And the complaint honestly felt extremely bogus. However, there was a complaint, and so I, took it to her and said, I suggest you call your insurance company right away. And she said, I let it lapse. Now, of course, she didn't let me know either, so she's been working, with my clients without it. And of course, there was immediate dismissal, from my business. And it also meant that, she put herself in jeopardy.
I have a really interesting experience because I'm an expert witness for massage therapy cases. And the number of cases where a massage therapist has a claim against him or her, and that's the end of it, is very little.
Right.
It's not just a claim that you did something wrong. It turns into a full-fledged case.
Yes.
And they not only go after you, but then they go after the location that you are working in, because they have a feeling that massage therapists aren't the deep pockets.
Right.
It's the place that they work for. And the place that you work for should expect and be able to state you need to have your professional liability coverage. And if you're not meeting that standard, it's going to be hard to be employed someplace to make sure. And on the other side of that, a lot of our professional associations, AMTA specifically, are working with employers of massage therapy and creating a group discount and creating a group practice kind of process so that massage therapists can get their professional liability coverage and the rest of the benefits of that group, of that insurance and of the association, to really help them out so that a massage therapist can feel engaged and connected in the subjects of massage therapy. I think it was 2 days ago I got the the government relations report that AMTA puts out monthly, if not a little bit more at times. But they really want to make sure that people know what laws and rules and regulations are coming down that are going to affect the massage therapists in those states. If you complain that you are never told that something is going to happen with your state licensing board, I have to say tisk tisk on you, because you have to be told by the state licensing board. They inform you somehow, even if it's just on their website or on their newsletter that they put out. If you're not getting those, then you need to make sure that you're getting those and make sure to go to your state licensing board, make sure they have the right address. Then your professional association, your liability coverage, a lot of times they'll have something that's going on. Both ABMP and AMTA have a government relations director who are really imperative in those connections, in communication. If you're with AMTA, you have the chapter. Even if you're not an AMTA member, connecting with the chapters and really going to their meetings and saying, hey, what's going on or asking questions, that's a huge tool that you can connect with. These are massage therapists in your local area. Some states have state associations, may not have as much connection as like the AMTA, but they will have a more localized feel of what's going on. So it's really up to you to make sure that you're supporting the profession and connecting. Because if you're not, you can't blame it on someone else. Placing blame on someone else is giving up your power. I mean, you're giving up your own responsibility. So that's an important piece to remember, that you have the right responsibility and authority to connect, once again, with what is important there. Yeah. So when your state licensing board puts up something that's opposing human trafficking, one of the important pieces is that you don't just automatically say, no, we shouldn't have to do this. Mm-hmm. It may be more important to say, well, why, and is there a more effective way that we could really support opposing human trafficking? Yeah. Because there are great ways to do it, mm-hmm. but knowing those ways sometimes are not as easy. You have to get outside the box, think a little clearly. FYI, cost for renewing your board certification, $85 for the application and renewal fee, $25 for the background fee, performed by the NCB. Really, for me, I look at my renewals and I kind of go, that's, let's see, $95, $110 for 2 years. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's one of my state licensing renewals that's that little. Most of my state licensing boards, if they're annually, are 95 plus. If they're biannually, they're well over 100. So it's similar on that aspect. So these are part of those pieces that you're expected to follow. Right. So where else can we think? I love that you pulled out regulations. Mm-hmm. And so how do you find your regulation body?
There is a website, Municode, M-U-N-I code, C-O-D-E.com.
N-U-N?
M as in massage. M, okay, erase all that. There you go. M-U-N-I-C-O-D-E.com.
All right.
There you go.
Municode. This is a new one to me, so I hope it doesn't come up with something crazy.
Nope.
Connecting you to your citizens.
Mm-hmm.
Coefficient, government websites, election payments, multi-code meetings. Awesome. So this is a page that you go right into and you can connect with those.
You're literally able to, let's see, you're literally able to pull up your specific code for, county and city. Of course, for the state, you would go to your Secretary of State license and pull it up there.
Yes, I just bookmarked it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been using this, goodness gracious, almost about 20 years or so, and it's updated pretty regularly.
Awesome. So the one that I like to use is fill in the blank state.
Okay.
Arizona. I'm just gonna go with Arizona. Massage Therapy Board.
Okay.
Yes. Google is an amazing process because the first thing that comes up is the Arizona State Board of Massage Therapy. And if I click on Arizona State Board of Massage Therapy, I'm not in Arizona. I don't have a license in Arizona. But the number of times that I have had people say, hey, how do I get licensed in blank state?
Right. My
first statement is, have you Google searched that state's massage therapy board? And they go, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Mm-hmm. But about find a therapist, forums, schools, board meetings, status and rules, or statutes and rules. It's going to be all there, and then you can go down and say, okay, useful links. I mean, there's the Arizona chapter of AMTA, American Massage Therapy Association, ABMP, private postcards. I mean, they have it right here that says, okay, what is it that you need to know? Complaint form, public information request, general information, 5-year statistics plan from 2014 to 2018. That's going to be a fun read that I'm not going to read right now. Our vision, our mission, directory, obtaining a license. Ta-da, read more. You've got that information right there. So no matter what license you're looking for, all you have to do is hit the Massage Therapy Board of fill-in-the-blank state. Now, there are some that don't have them,
Right.
but even if you search them, let me actually do that. Make sure I'm not talking out of my ear, because sometimes my ears get very talkative. So I know Wyoming Massage Board. Wyoming does not have licensure currently. So Wyoming from massagetherapylicense.org, state Wyoming massage license. This page says Wyoming massage licensing requirements. Become an LMT.
Wow.
And licensed massage therapy in Wyoming. And they refer right back to the amtamassage.org, find a massage therapist credentials. So the educational foundation, professional business. So having worked in the state of Wyoming, I was at a spa, and when they were interviewing, they said, okay, so we won't hire someone unless they, A, are board certified, because if you're a board certified massage therapist, then we know you've gone through a school and you've hit that credential, or are licensed in a state. Because Wyoming doesn't have licensure, so you just had to be licensed somewhere else.
Okay.
Well, that really helped me feel comfortable that you were having a quality met. However, they didn't have to go up and confirm that that licensure was vetted and that it was maintained. So there were concerns there about massage therapists who had left their state to become a massage therapist in another state. I was doing it completely on the legal side, on the up and up, personally, even though my shirt disappears. But it's important to kind of go back through and say, hey, you know what is it that a state needs? So actually, we got 5 minutes left. I can't go too far into that. Darn. So the other key things when we're starting to go into what we need to know for massage therapy is that you're operating with a knowledgeable intention for what you are doing. So I go into this concept of, as a massage therapist, do you know what you're doing? I like to say, do you understand what you're doing? And you can understand what you're doing without knowing what you're doing, as well as you can understand and know what you're doing without being able to explain it. I know several massage therapists who are outstanding massage therapists, but if you ask them where the psoas was, they'd give you the blank stare from death, because they're not going to remember a name of a muscle that they studied and got C's in 20 years ago.
Right.
I found it very important for me to be able to connect with that kinesiology and remember that informational piece. So for me, it was very exciting to be able to connect that way, as well as for the education aspect. I really enjoy being able to go to a school, go to class and teach massage therapy, and to re-engage the names of muscles and re-engage concepts and theories of anatomy and physiology that I learned in massage school however many years ago, and then I get to re-engage those. Everyone can do that. You've got your books, you've got your manuals as a massage therapist. Just making sure that you engage regularly mentally is very important. And now that I'm looking at things, I don't see Facebook Live in the top corner.
Uh-oh.
But we're down into that last few minutes. So, Cindy,
Yes.
what are some of the most important things for you when you look at a person managing their practice? Because you're doing coaching aspects right now, right? And so if you're looking at coaching a massage therapist, what are some of the key pieces that you might want someone to be engaging in so that they can then take that next step and become a better massage therapist?
First thing that I look at is heart and passion. Are they actually enjoying what they're doing? There's the old proverb that if you love what you do, you'll never go to work a day in your life. And if when you open your eyes, the first thought in your head is, oh crap, I've got to go to work, perhaps there's an adjustment that needs to be made, either in the way you're thinking about what you're doing, where you're doing it, how you're doing it, something. Because if you're not enjoying it, your clients are going to be cheated. They're not going to receive the best that you have to offer, and you're not doing yourself a service. So that's the very first thing. And then beyond that, it's being able to recognize that you're not in isolation, that what you bring, what you do impacts not only yourself but everyone and everything around you. That's the other benchmark that I challenge my students, my staff, and folks that I'm coaching, clients, is what is the impact that you're having on our profession, your profession, whatever it is, and those around you, and of course your clients, because there's a direct correlation.
I love that. I think that one of those pieces with the concept of work is how you look at the term work.
Yes.
Because I've always had the concept of work as kind of a glorious thing instead of work as a torturous thing. And not everyone has that. I know there's a lot of people who are raised with a concept that work is the place you go until you die. And that's, to me, that would be painful to have that type of work perspective. But for me, gosh, I get to go to work to learn something new, to help someone, to change something, to improve someone's life. Just recently, I was talking to a group, and we were talking about how to be the best supporter of other people, how to be a true advocate to people, and how to be a brother, a sister to those you're around. And I talked about some stuff that I was doing at work and helping people and connecting with different people. And I said, for those of you who don't think you are in a service industry, guess what? You're in a service industry.
Absolutely.
Because we're all there at any job to help someone else out. It may not be as person to person or connection to connection, but we all have a connection to people, even if it's just the person who's sitting next to us in the cubicle next door. Our job as humans is to make other people's lives as glorious as they can be so that we can have a glorious life as well. And I dare people and defy people to work to make someone else smile, because in that process, you're going to smile.
Right.
It is so rare for a person who's striving to help someone else to actually feel worse when they're done.
Yeah.
Service is the best thing you can do to help out someone else. And if you go to work and you're just there for the dollars, you're just there because you're passing time, that's going to be a very boring, aggravating, and irritating experience. So it's more important to connect with and go back to that concept of who am I serving, how am I serving, and how can I be more effective in that service. So even with that, the National Certification Board's board certification is there to help us serve the profession the best we possibly can as massage therapists. We're connecting with, we didn't get back to it, but the continuing education providers is a very important piece when we start saying, what is it that we're doing to really support massage therapists in that aspect of continuing education. You know, most continuing education providers are massage therapists who have absolutely loved what they're doing and want to share what they have learned from the thousands of clients that they have touched. If you are a massage therapist looking for quality continuing education provider, hold on, if we come down here, find a board certified therapist, NCB assigned school, and NCB TMB approved CE provider. Simply by clicking on that button, you come to this fill in the blank section. If I just choose a state randomly like Florida, and that's all I do, I'm going to hit find, and I'm going to find any continuing education provider from the state of Florida. Not that they only teach in Florida, but from the state of Florida. And so there are one of 14 pages of this many, however that is, 20 or so, continuing education providers in the state of Florida. That's huge. So being able to use this resource, you can also refine it down to specific topics. If you have a topic or a field of interest that you're looking at, course category, so that's going to tell you what specific subjects to be looking for in that state or that city. Even if you don't want to look by state, you can do several pieces to search number of CE hours. This is a very helpful site that I give to a lot of spa owners and say, hey, if you're looking for something for your massage therapist, why not offer continuing education for them? Because if you are truly wanting them to be better, that's going to be one of the best tools for them to continually improve. And any closing comments, my friend Cindy?
Outside of it being a delight to, of course, be with you, even though sometimes you were just a head bobbing in the water. But you know, the opportunity to share in a forum like this is really, really just you know, a service that you're providing that I appreciate you for doing that, and to be a part of it has been you know, a delight. So thank you.
Expect to be on again. I've kind of realized how many friends I have to pull favors for when it's 52 hours for the year.
Yeah.
So I've actually had Ryan Hoyme on twice now, just because I like his laugh. So expect that I will connect with you, because there's a lot of different topics and so many things that you've experienced in life that not many other people have. And so being able to connect in different ways, I can't say I've had every experience, but I'm glad I have friends who have had larger experiences and connected with the profession in different ways, so that we can all become more ethical in putting ourselves in someone else's shoes. So thank you very much.
Sure.
I am going to hit a couple of buttons and we'll do this exit thing here.
Alrighty.
Maybe. There we go.
Thank you, Nathan. The hour has flown by. We hope you've enjoyed this discussion with Ethics Outside the Box. As you've seen, Nathan uses many second-hand stories of ethical situations. If you'd like to share your story or you have any questions, feel free to contact him at nathan@educatedtouch.com. If you'd like to register for next week's live webinar, go to shop.educatedtouch.com. Under live webinars, you will see all upcoming webinars. If you have just watched this video and would like continuing education for home study, you can go to shop.educatedtouch.com under the home study options with the date or episode number to receive your exam. If you would please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we will keep you up to date on new videos. If you'd like to attend one of our live courses, you can find upcoming scheduled events at www.educatedtouch.com. Thank you for joining us today.